The range of motion of scapula provide only one-third motion of humerus relative to body, sometimes more. Without this movement of scapula, we are able to abduct our arm up to here.
That's far the soldier bone go before bone hits bone.
Scapular movement, let's get all through way to here. Now let's look the shoulder joint.
Let's get acquainted with the upper half of the humerus. This is the head of the humerus. The article surface is half of the sphere. On the anterior aspect is well-marked groove known as bicipital groove because the tendon of long head of bicep run in it. At the proximal end of groove are lesser tubercle and the greater tubercle because it's between two tubercle. The bicipital groove is also known as intertubercle groove. Down here on the lateral aspect of the humerus, almost halfway down the bone is a rough spot, the deltoid tuberosity. Here's the shoulder joint, also known as glenohumeral joint. This loose sleeve of tissue which is known as joint capsule. The capsule doesn't hold the bone together. It's quite a big structure which it does permit movement. The structure of hold the bone together are muscle, as we will see here tendon of one of those muscles. Let's look at the movement that can occur at the shoulder joint. Movement forward and upward is called flexion. Movement downward and backward is called extension. Movement away from the side of the body is abduction and the opposite movement is adduction. Rotation, which moves the front of the arm toward the body, is internal rotation. The other way is external rotation.
Now quick taken a review the bone, the joints, the ligament. Let's spend a minute reviewing what we've seen so far.
Here's the clavicle for an easy start on scapula. Here's the blade, glenoid fossa, supraglenoid, infraglenoid tubercle. Here's the spine of scapula, supraspinous and infraspinous fossa. The acromion and the coracoid process. Here the proximal humerus with the head, the greater tubercle and the lesser tubercle, the bicipital groove and the deltoid tuberosity. Here the sternoclavicular joint and here is the acromioclavicular joint with the conoid ligament and trapezoid ligament. On the scapula, here is the glenoid labrum and the coracoacromial ligament. And lastly, here the capsule of shoulder joint.
Now let's move on to look at the muscle. We build our understanding pretty much from inside to outside. First we will look at the deepest muscle, the one that go from the scapula to humerus. Then we will look at ones which go from trunk to scapular, and lastly we look at three big muscles on outside which cover up almost all other. Before we look at any shoulder muscle, we need to take note at tendon of two long elbow muscles which arise very close to the shoulder joint and lie deep to everything.
That's the tendon of long head of bicep and the long head of the tricep muscles. The long head of the tricep arises here from the infraglenoid tubercle and the long head of bicep arises surprisingly here from the supraglenoid tubercle. To get here, it passes inside the joint capsule and right over the top of the head of the humerus. Now let's look at the four short muscles which hold the shoulder joint together. There are three on the back and one on the front. The one on the front is subscapularis. It arises from almost all of the anterior costal aspect of the scapula. Its tendon insert here on the lesser tubercle. Subscapularis acting alone, producing internal rotation of the humerus. Acting with the other three short muscles, it holds the humeral head and glenoid fossa together, while other more powerful muscles are worked on the back. There are two muscles below the scapular spine and one above each supraspinatus. It arises from almost all supraspinatus fossa and it passes here under the acromion and insert the on the greater tubercle. The tendons of supraspinatus runs through a tight spot between the acromion and the head of the humerus. There is a synovial line pocket versa between the acromion and the supraspinatus initiate the abduction of the humerus. The two muscles below the spine are infraspinatus and the teres minor. Between them, they arise from almost all of the infraspinous fossa. Infraspinatus here, teres minor here. Infraspinatus insert here on the back of the greater tubercle, teres minor just below it. Both these muscles produce external rotation of the humerus. These four short muscles, subscapularis, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and teres minor, converge on the humerus to form almost continuous cuff or flat supporting tendon, often referred as rotator cuff. It's these tendons together with long head of the tricep down here which keep the head of the humerus from sliding out. It is very shallow socket. There are two other muscles to note that also run from the scapular to humerus, one on the front and one on the back. The one on the back is the teres major. It arises from the lower lateral border of the scapula and insert on the crest of the lesser tubercle. Teres major is quite powerful adductor of the humerus. On the front, here is coracobrachialis. It arises from coracoid process. It insert down here on the humerus. Coracobrachialis helps to flex the shoulder joint.